Literature is called as the true mirror of the society. Literature reflects the history, literature reflects the culture, and literature reflects the innovations being done at a particular time in the society. In India, English literature is taught in three major spheres as English literature, Indian English literature, and American English literature in the syllabus. In Indian English literature, various authors are there as Mulk Raj Anand, R.K. Narayana, then Toru Dutt, Sarojini Naidu, and many more so. Recently, in the Indian English literature, there are books written by SUDHA MURTY also. The lesson prescribed in class 9th is in the book KAVERI, and this lesson is written by SUDHA MURTY. This is titled as How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. It is having an autobiographical note. It is not only merely a personal story or incidents. It is a saga of learning, craving of learning for learning, and importance of literacy. Why is it still important to learn how to read and write? That objectives are well depicted in the lesson How I Taught My Grandmother to Read. Children, your grandmother and grandparents, maybe your grandmother and grandfather, may be very educated. But in the olden days, the literacy rate of our country was not very good. So, you see, your grandparents or elderly relatively, they may be speaking in Hindi, and SUDHA MURTY's grandmother was having mother tongue as Kannada. So you may be having your own experiences. SUDHA MURTY is having her experiences with her grandmother. The lesson starts with the statement that when SUDHA MURTY, the author, was 12 years of age. She starts like that. When I was a girl of about 12, I used to stay in a village in North Karnataka with my grandparents. Those days, the transport system was not very good, so we used to get the morning paper only in the afternoon. The weekly magazine used to come one day late. All of us would wait eagerly for the bus which used to come with the papers, weekly, magazines, and post. So, the introduction of the lesson starts that there were no proper means of transport, hence, the author was getting the newspaper and a magazine not only in the morning but in the afternoon. And author's grandmother was waiting for the weekly magazine, that magazine as Karmbira. In that, there was a serial story which she liked to listen from the author. She describes like that, at the time Triveni was a very popular writer in Kannada language. So, the writer, his here is Triveni, and the magazine in which Triveni's writings were published is titled as Karmbira. Triveni, she was a wonderful writer. Her style was easy to read and very convincing. You see, there are simple words, then a person can grasp the meaning. Reading is not enough. Reading and understanding. Listening and understanding. Reading and comprehension, that is also understanding, and listening and understanding. If we are not knowing the meaning of the words, definitely we cannot comprehend that. So, Triveni's writing style, you see, there are two types of parts of writing actually, kinds of writing, and when we are discussing the literature. In Hindi also you say Bhav Paksha and Kala Paksha. What are the thoughts conveyed? That is Bhav Paksha. Kala Paksha, how the diction is. What are the figures of speech the author has used? So in that it comes the artistic style. The diction, in poetry it's rhyme, figures of speech. So even prose can be also having lucid style when the simple language is used with simple words. So Triveni was a good writer, and she used to write in Kannada, and the writing was very lucid and easy and simplified. So author says her style was easy to read and very convincing. Convincing, समझा सकें, तथ्यों को कह सकें कि हाँ देखो ये ऐसा है, कन्विंस कर सकें. So her style, Triveni's style was very convincing. Her story usually dealt with the complex psychological problems in the lives of ordinary people. कॉम्प्लेक्स जटिल समस्याएं, ऑर्डिनरी साधारण लोगों के जीवन में जो जटिल समस्याएं, उसके मनोवैज्ञानिक पक्ष को वो ऑथर उसमें ठीक प्रकार से नोट करती थी. सो दैट्स व्हाट एक्चुअली द ऑथर हियर इज रीडिंग. यू सी, Sudha Murty is writing about the style of Triveni, who was writing in a Kannada. And she states so that Triveni was writing in a very simple style, which was convincing also, and the thoughts or the plots were as mentioning the psychological problems of ordinary people. It was very interesting, she says so. Unfortunately, the Kannada literature, she died very young. That is the sad part actually. Triveni has contributed a lot in the literature. However, as she died very young, she couldn't do, her writing might be having limited actually treasure. Otherwise, she might have written a lot and the treasure might have been a lot. That's what Sudha Murty comes to say. She died very young. Even now, after 40 years, people continue to appreciate her novels. The novels, which was written by Triveni, the Kannada readers do appreciate now also. An author never dies, as her or his literature always remains immortal. One of her novels, called Kasi Yatra. You see, what is the title of the novel she has written? Kasi Yatra. Was appearing in a serial in Kannada weekly. Her ardent desire to go, what a weekly Karma Veera then. So the novel was published in serial manner, part 1, part 2, part 3, like that in segment. And it was being published in Karma Veera, the weekly magazine of the Kannada. So you see, what is the novel about it is? It was Kasi Yatra. And what was the plot? What is the story? The story was, it is a story of an old lady, her ardent desire. How the desire was? Strong desire. हार्दिक इच्छा थी उसकी. What for? To go to Kasi or Varanasi. So the title is Kasi Yatra. Most of Hindus believe that going to Kasi and worshipping Lord Vishwesvaraya is the ultimate punya. हिंदू धर्म में मोक्ष की बात का परम पुरुषार्थ कहा गया है. 4 स्तंभ हैं, धर्म, अर्थ, काम, मोक्ष, और उसमें मोक्ष अंतिम लक्ष्य कहा गया है, परम पुरुषार्थ कहा गया है. और ये कहा जाता है कि जो काशी यात्रा कर ली तो इसका अर्थ है कि संपूर्ण पुण्य कर लिए. So, you see, the author writes that most of Hindus believe that going to Kasi and worshipping Lord Vishwesvara is the ultimate punya. अंतिम पुण्य है, पूर्ण सबसे बड़ा पुण्य है. दिस ओल्ड लेडी ऑल्सो बिलीव इन दिस. जिस लेडी की बात कर रही हैं सुधा मूर्ति, ये लेडी भी जो काशी यात्री नोवेल में है, जो नायिका है, उसका भी यही मनोकामना थी. She believed in that. This old lady also believed in this, and her struggle to go there was described in that novel. In this novel, which was being published in magazine Karambira, in this novel, the ardent desire of the lady is described, and her struggle is being depicted in this novel. In the story, there was also a young orphan girl who falls in love, but there was no money for the wedding. एक करेक्टर और आता है स्टोरी में, इसमें नॉवल में, काशी यात्री में, और वो एक अनाथ बालिका है. और वो किसी से उसका लव होता है, लेकिन उसे शादी के लिए उसके पास धन नहीं है. एज राइट, शी वॉज नॉट हैविंग मनी फॉर वेडिंग. In the end, the old lady gives away all her savings without going to Kashi. The lady who was having ardent desire to go to Kashi, she forgets about her need, about her desire, and she gives the complete money to this girl child who was orphan for the sake of her marriage. The happiness of this orphan girl is more important than worshipping Lord Vishwesvaraya in Kashi. What is described in all? There is a comparison. What is the ultimate punya? Ultimate punya was considered as going to Kashi and worshipping Vishwesvaraya. So instead of that, she has followed the human worship by fulfilling the need of that orphan girl. So the happiness of this orphan girl is more important than worshipping Lord Vishwesvaraya at Kashi. Now further, actually, that story was coming, then Sudha Murthy used to read that story or in the magazine for her grandmother. That is the description. My grandmother Kastaka never went to school, so she could not read. Here Sudha Murthy writes that her grandmother had never visited a school, so she was not able to read that weekly magazine or anything. Every Wednesday the magazine would come and I would read the next episode of this story to her. So it was coming in the episodes, serials, one part, part 2, part 3, like that. So Sudha Murthy was reading these episodes for her grandmother as she was not having ability to read. During that time, she would forget all the work and listen with greatest concentration. जब सुधा मूर्ति वो कहानी सुनाती हैं उसे, तो पूरी लगन के साथ में पूरा ध्यान लगा करके वो सुनती थी.